Hello, and welcome to Women in Business, where we interview entrepreneurs and senior managers and show you the strengths, successes, obstacles, and roadblocks women experience in business. Since I believe every person in business needs to be visible, I'd like to invite you to watch www.sob6, that's the number 6, tips.com, which will give you some valuable information should you get the call to be on radio or TV, which I think is extremely important. If you'd like to contact me personally, drop me a line at Gayle Carson, that's Gayle, Gayle Carson 13 at gmail.com, or go to my website, www.spunkyoldbroad.com, and sign up for my weekly newsletter.
Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Gayle Carson, SOB, Spunky Old Broad, doing the Women in Business segment for you today. And I thought, you are probably wondering about what exactly I did that enabled me to have such success at such a young age. And there was actually a very simple formula that I use that I want to go over with you today, and maybe it'll help some of you. And that is that success equals persistence plus discipline. Walt Disney said, people often ask me if I know the secret of success, and if I could tell others how to make their dreams come true, my answer is you do it by working. I've always been very persistent about something. I don't give up. In other words, whether it takes me one time or 10 times or 20 times, if I will figure that it works for me, I will do it over and over and over. And discipline is really being able to do it over and over and over again. So what I want you to understand is that there is always somebody who tries harder. And, there's nothing that's more important to your success than effort. Yeah, there are a lot of people that might try harder than you are. But there's always someone stronger or faster or smarter or even better looking. And, that's a statistical certainty unless you happen to be, I guess Superman or Wonder Woman. But no one needs to be more persistent. That is something that is really, really important. And it's very often defined by the situation. For example, you might be foolish but not persistent if you're a gambler who sorts through losing tickets and kicks yourself for the way you bet, or those of you that are constantly trying for that $1 million jackpot. Or you might, for example, if you're a professional stockbroker who does the same thing, you learn from your mistakes, but you don't wallow in them. And that's the whole point. You're foolish, not persistent if you repeat the same process in the same way over and over again, thinking that it hasn't worked, yet you keep trying it because that's the only thing you know, or your fear is, if I try something new, that might not work either. And you're foolish, not persistent if you ignore the lessons of the environment and the wise teachers who've been placed on earth to help you succeed. But you are persistent, not foolish, if you conscientiously issue and pursue a hard-to-sell client or a job prospect, or if you show yourself to be capable in ways that you can't escape the attention of your prospect or your boss or others who are significant to your career. Your persistence will win admirers if you chart a course for yourself and refuse to deviate from it. It's like when I used to have my modeling schools, and I used to call and sell modeling and self-improvement courses and things like that. I can tell you that I never, ever thought that I had a script. And then my little 3-year-old at that time would always come in with his toy telephone and pretend he was doing phone calls with me, because I would do them from the bedroom because it was at night and that was the best time to reach people. Well, I didn't think I had a script, but guess what? One day he started dialing the telephone and he said, "Hello, this is Gayle Carson," and he did my entire script. And I thought, my gosh, I do have a script. So, you have to think about what's going on in your world, because you are persistent, not foolish, if you analyze yourself from your client's point of view. What do I need from him or her, and why do I need him or her? What about them makes me want to do business with her? What unique qualities, knowledge, or skills does she have? When you begin to listen honestly, those answers will start coming in the affirmative, and you will have the tools you need to go beyond the place where you are now to the place you want to be. Your persistence will give you the answers you need to make sure that you are doing critical changes in the way you are perceived, which is crucial to success in almost any field of endeavor. Your persistence, as well as other skills you can develop, will help you to recognize your mistakes and learn from them. You can even use persistence to dodge the traps you may have used to keep yourself from succeeding. If you don't quit, you can't be beaten, and it is that simple. I know I'm making this sound very, very, easy and esoteric, and I know that it isn't, but you do have to use those two qualities, persistence, absolutely, and discipline. So discipline is also crucial. Why? Because it's the learned ability to do the same thing over and over and over again. It requires discipline to perform tasks you don't like. It takes discipline to form a pattern, to establish a methodology of making yourself more responsible for you, and the best framework from within which you build. So when we talk about discipline, there's a lot of things to explore in terms of that, and it could be from image to career strategy, effective communication, leadership. But whatever it is, without persistence and without discipline, plotting a course and sticking to it, no amount of image building or imagination will get you there. So you can tell that I firmly believe that you can accomplish anything you put your mind to, regardless of your financial status, your professional education, or your family background, providing you have the basic talent and abilities required, and that you keep an open mind and lay a plan for yourself. So the two most important ingredients in your plan, of course, is persistence and discipline. You must pursue your goal relentlessly and never get sidetracked. And let me tell you, there are people everywhere that are doing their darndest to get you sidetracked and on a whole different path. You must also not let anything interfere with your thought processes. Your thoughts are the most powerful things you have. You must appreciate yourself and your accomplishments. If you don't understand how to handle success, it is going to handle you. You need to learn to take from it, to get to the next step, and to give back to it through the community, your coworkers, your employees, or the people who share your life. And if you don't, there will be an empty void that will not make anything you have worthwhile. And I certainly know a lot of people who have advanced degrees, and that includes me. I mean, I have a doctorate in education. But I also know people who have never finished high school that are multimillionaires. It doesn't take a degree. It takes knowledge, real world knowledge, in order to do what it is you need to do. So you must also face up to what you have to contribute and sacrifice to be successful. If study, whether it's formally, by education or by seminars or reading or training programs, is necessary, don't make excuses as to why you don't have the time or money to pursue them. You can find a way. There are plenty of free things, and fortunately for us, Google has a ton of free information, and YouTube has a video on just about everything to learn from. You can find a way. And if you're asked to take an active part in a professional organization or a trade association, do so. You will find the credits far outbalances any debits. People in your profession will get to know who you are, what your abilities are, and your strengths. And that's important for your profession, for your credibility, for your visibility. So try to get as much publicity and coverage for your ideas and creativity as possible, and develop an aura of business cleverness and importance about the things that you do. And when the chips are down, know your stuff and be able to come through. It is so important for you to be able to get all of this done. And again, I know it sounds like a lot of work, and it is, but it all boils down to those two things of discipline and persistence. So the only limits you will experience are those you place on yourself. You must be prepared to give up certain things. For example, when I first started my first business, I really did give up my social life. The only time my husband and I went out was on a Saturday night to a movie and dinner, and other than that, on Sundays we spent it with the kids. But other than that, we were working a lot of the time, and I realized in today's world that's not the best way, but back then that's what you did. And much of your family life will be concentrated on all the goodies of getting there. But if you allow time for good physical fitness, and you know how I feel about that, so that the hours you work and the stress you experience can be tolerated, you will find you will be able to function quite well. You should also learn how to make your social life, the one that you do have, leisurely, so you can relax and enjoy it more easily, although you'll probably find that, many of the social events you attend are semi-business as well. Since family time will be short, I know that old adage, the word quality, but you should try to make it quality time. It isn't quantity time. It is quality time. And, of course, that's a quality time of what's important to your kids as well as what's important to you, because sometimes what you think they want is not what they want at all. But you should realize the one important thing. The first 10 years of any business are your formative ones. And, the learning times that come from that can never be replaced. Your enthusiasm and determination will never be higher. And they are important years and part of what we call the dues-paying era. The lessons you learn when applied will show you to work smart instead of working hard later on. And, I'll just give you some personal asides now. I never knew, for example, that I could fail. Therefore, there was nothing preventing me from succeeding. I never really fully understood this until just a few years ago when my sister said to me, Gayle, we were programmed to achieve from the day we were born. And that was the truth. Although I never really thought about it, I was raised very independently, taught to take care of myself at a very early age. And I was also, and this was hard for me at the time, but I know so valuable, I was forced to face unpleasant situations head on and deal with them in the present instead of delaying them for some later time. I was always taught right from wrong, the need for responsibility and ethics. And, if there was a problem with a friend, I had to confront it. If a second boy asked me for a date and I had already turned the first one down, I couldn't go. And if I didn't understand something, I was told to investigate. Mainly, I was shown that I couldn't hide, that life was not always fair, but that if you did learn how to handle things, you would survive. And I cannot tell you how that has served me well in my adult life. I mean, there are so many people who back down from situations because they're afraid, or they don't get rid of old friends that are not healthy for them because they are too afraid they won't get new ones. None of those were things that were an issue for me, because I remember at the age of 8 having to phone in the drug orders for my father, who was a pharmacist, to the supply house. And yet I couldn't even understand the names that I was supposed to call in. And I didn't want to do it. And my mother said, someday you are going to have to know how to talk on the phone. And for the 60 years of my career, my businesses have been built over the telephone because I feel at home on the phone as I do with my own family. So partly from that experience, I've come to love the phone. And every time it rings, I get excited. I never know who's going to be on the other end, and it's usually good news. I can't even imagine going somewhere where there is no phone, and I try and bring that attitude to people who call me. Now, let me give you another example, because, again, you may think all of this is just so easy. At the age of 20, after graduating from college, I moved to Miami with 2 suitcases and a lot of hope to try and make it in just 2 weeks. I was determined to have my own modeling school, but I also knew that I had to learn the territory and the business end of things. And I trekked from school to school and finally found the exact one at which I wanted to work. It was small, it was personal, and it was the kind of place that seemed real and didn't offer customers the moon. And it seemed more like a family than a strange new job. At first, I was offered part-time employment, but after 2 weeks, I was given a position as the owner's assistant. She fired the girl who had been with her for 2.5 years because she said, Gayle, you're going to make money for somebody, and it might as well be me. And for the first 2 weeks I was in the office, I never saw her. But I got an education in a hurry. I used my instinct and common sense. And if someone asked me a question and I didn't have the answer, I figured that I needed to get it somewhere, and what better place than the owner. And my yellow pad was filled with questions by the end of the day. And it was quite a way to get started, but it gave me what I needed in a short period of time. And within 1 month, I had the swing of things, Within 4 months, I have tripled my salary, which was practically nothing to begin with. And within 8 months, I had bought the business. At 21, I owned a business, all on borrowed money, of course, had monthly notes to meet, employees to deal with, and was wondering what I had to do to get customers to call and clients to walk through the door. And in the beginning, there were days that couldn't be filled. I had so much free time on my hands and moments when the checkbook never seemed to stretch until the end of the week. And at first, I did feel sorry for myself. I thought, what did I get myself into? But then I decided there was only one way to get the business, and that was to go out and find it. And that's what I see with a lot of people today. They expect the business to come to them. Once they open up the door, put the sign out, let people know what they're doing, that traffic is just going to fall in. Well, it doesn't happen. You have to make it happen. And, I began to join business clubs, trade associations. I became an active participant in them. I gave free lectures at every civic and community organization I could find, and I began going to local high schools one day a week. Little by little, my business began to grow, and soon there were no more free days. I found that between the lectures, teaching, and agency work, 4 days turned into 7, and the 12-hour day was the norm rather than the exception. But I loved every minute of it. And all other activities, including my social life, took a back seat to my business. So I really am questioning all of you in terms of, what is it that you have on your mind? Is it success? Is it discipline? Is it persistence? You can't just imagine something and have it happen. You have to work at it every day, all day. I also think it's important for you to look at who you are surrounding yourself with. Are the people that you have brought in to help you really helping you, or are they keeping you kind of distracted and at a point where it's not something that is valuable for you? I try to learn from my peers. If I saw a peer that was doing something fantastic or that I didn't know how to do, I would go and study with them. I would even pay to do that. Sometimes I would do it as an apprentice. Sometimes I would do it by taking a course. Sometimes I would do it by asking them to mentor me. But the point is that I knew that I was lacking in certain areas, and I had to be able to complement myself in those same areas. And there were certainly people that were doing it better than I was. As a matter of fact, as I began to hire teachers, because as I began opening my second and my third and my fourth schools, I couldn't be in all those places at one time. And in order for me to do what I had to do best, which was sales, I had to have the time, and I couldn't do that if I was teaching. So I hired teachers, who I thought would do the job well. I trained them. But it was also interesting that many of the teachers brought their own ideas and their own methodologies. Now, some of them I did not like, and I told them that. Some I did like, and I adapted them to what we were doing, because you can always learn from somebody else. And so I had a teacher that started working for me. Gosh, I must have been in business over 5 or 6 years at that point. And she was watching me schedule classes. And she said to me, "Why are you doing it that way?" And I thought, and I said, "Well, I don't know. That's the way I've always done it." And she said, "Can I show you an easier, quicker way?" And I thought, well, what can she show me, right? But I said yes. And do you know that the method that she showed me saved me 2 hours a week in scheduling? So that was 8 hours a month that I was able to get back, because someone who was a brand new teacher for me, who saw how I was doing things and had a better suggestion, had the presence of mind and had the confidence to be able to say, "May I show you a better way?" And I had the confidence to be able to say to her, "Yeah, show me," even though I was trepidatious. I didn't know if it was going to work. I didn't know if it would be okay, but it turned out that it was. So I want to just caution you to take advantage of those people who are around you, because you never know who's going to be able to give you a suggestion that might help you in some way, shape, or form. Now, mentoring today is so much easier than it was years ago. If you ask for a mentor, if you kind of research who those people are, it will help you a great deal. On the other hand, For example, I had a marvelous teacher manager who stayed with me for 20 years, both as a model and a tour hostess, as well as a teacher and manager. And, it doesn't have to be in a formal sense of superior to employee or great one above to lowly person below. If you're smart, you're always going through a mentoring process of some sort. You're learning from those whose circumstances are placed in front of you or taking from their knowledge and experience whatever they care to give you. The task that we have is to decide what it is we want to know and find the best person to impart that knowledge to us. Now, for example, usually whether it's the mechanic you ask for an opinion about a car or a television executive you ask for a good place to study broadcasting, they are most happy to be consulted, but you cannot overlook good information when changing cars or careers. I want you to think about, all of this because I then started to deviate from, the modeling schools. I opened a real estate school. Then I went into court reporting and fashion merchandising, travel and legal and medical secretarial work. But, at this point, I had several people working for me, but there was still a never-ending amount of detail to attend to. And so this was my way of life, and I arranged everything around it, my marriage, my children, my leisure activities, all of that. So if you want to learn more about, working with me, perhaps as a coach or even as a mentor, go to spunkyoldbroad.com. That's my website. And there you're going to find some programs that I have that are online. You don't have to deal with me. You can just study them all online, self-study at your own pace. I also have a store there where you can buy some coffee mugs or tea mugs, depending on what you want. I have clothing, T-shirts, leggings, all kinds of different things. And if you are over 50 and you think you'd like to belong to our Facebook group, that's, of course, under facebook.com/groups/virtual SOB club. And SOB stands for Spunky Old Broad, as you probably know. But I would love the opportunity to work with some of you. And if you are interested in coaching with me or learning with me or any of those areas, I would love to be able to help you in any way I can. And I have been an entrepreneur all of my life. Most of you know that I started out at 13 selling Avon Cosmetics door to door. I graduated then into doing some radio work, and then from there I went into modeling, and I even taught music. I even taught piano because I studied piano for over 12 years. So, I've always worked, and I just wouldn't know what to do if I wasn't doing that. And my son teases me all the time and says, "Mom, when are you going to stop?" But I don't think I ever will because it gives me such great pleasure and such great admiration for what's going on. So I just want to thank all of you, for joining me on this Women in Business program, because I so believe that all of you should be in business for yourself if you've got the stamina for it. And it does take stamina. Running a business is not easy. Running a business can be fun. It can be a lot of great things, but it's also a lot of hard work. And if you're going to keep up with all the changes that are happening and all the new things that are coming online, you need to be prepared to switch on a dime if you have to. So all of that is a part of where we are and where we're going and what's happening. And I sure hope that, you are thinking about all of this because it's a part of where you are. I want to just end with a couple of things. Number one, if you have any suggestions of people that you'd like me to interview for this Women in Business podcast, or if there are suggestions that you would like me to talk about on Women in Business, just email me at gaylecarson13@gmail.com. That way I can get an idea of what you're interested in. I was very fortunate that I finished a 2-hour workshop on how to get booked on TV and podcasts and radio shows, and it was wonderful. And what we did, we also had the people do pitches so that they could get an idea of, what it was all about. So I just have I know that this is something that you're going to enjoy a great deal of. So again, this is Gayle Carson, spunkyoldbroad.com, the website. If you aren't subscribed to my newsletter, you can also do that online. We send it out every Monday, It's got a lot of fun information in it and a few helpful hints as well. And I hope that I get a chance to meet some of you in the future. So hang tight, and I will see you next month.
Thanks for listening to Women in Business. I hope you enjoyed today's show. And if you have any suggestions as to who you'd like me to have as a guest, just email me at gaylecarson13@gmail.com. Be sure to check out www.sob6tips.com. And in the meantime, go to www.spunkyoldbroad.com to see the resources I have for you.